Hey everybody, how you doing? It is that time of year again. That is right, it is December, which in effect means it is Christmas almost. Christmas almost way too quick. How is this most commonly phrased said ever? How is it December already? You just check. I bet that's the most that's the most Googled thing, because for some reason people would want to Google it to see if Google had any answers. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. It is Christmas. I'm feeling very festive. Christmas jumpers, trees in the lounge. It's obviously not just a tree. This isn't just sprouted out of the floorboards, kind of, what is it, James and the Giant Beanstalk scenario. Well, that's not right, is it? It's not James, is it? It's not James and the Giant Beanstalk. It's, Jesus, how have I forgotten who climbs up the beanstalk? I'll remember it later, I'm sure. It's just going to pop into my head at some point. Yes, this is a Christmas tree that I have acquired and decorated to feel festive. I went to Winter Wonderland a few nights ago, which also made me feel very festive. I ate chestnuts. I rode a weird roller coaster thing. Not a huge fan of roller coasters. I don't like anything that could potentially kill you, which is most things, I guess. Anyway, we're getting a little bit further away from festive talk here. In fact, this video isn't even about Christmas. This video is about something else. A couple of nights ago, I went and saw a film called The Disaster Artist, and I want to talk about that. I wanted to make a video about the fact that I have now seen something that I was very excited about, and I want to tell you my thoughts on it. So, The Disaster Artist. I have now seen it. I saw it a couple of nights ago, and I'm very pleased. I'm very happy. So, I should go back. In order to tell you about The Disaster Artist, we need to go back to 2008, I think. What was that, 9 years ago? Oh my god, where has the time gone? That's the second most Googled question. Where has the time gone? Where's it gone? It was here 1 minute and I was gone. Yeah, like 9 years ago or something, I was trawling through IMDb at some of the lowest rated films because I was just looking at kind of what not to do almost. I was looking at, well, what's a really bad film? Because I'd seen a load of good films. So I thought, well, that's obviously how you make a film. How do you not make a film? So I stumbled upon a film called The Room. And I thought, this has got a really low rating, it looks really peculiar, so I thought, hey, I've got no responsibilities and no obligations right now, so why don't I just watch it? I think I was on a gap year at the time, which kind of explains a few things. Anyway, I watched The Room for the first time, and I was just so enthralled and bewildered at how any human could make a string of decisions that result in this film. You know, it's very peculiar how anything could go this wrong. So I thought, well, maybe it was intentional, but no, I was just so captivated by it. And the main guy who made it, Wiseau, he is this very mysterious man, and I knew nothing about him. I tried Googling him, but nothing came up. And I was like, what if I just watched? Have other people watched this film? Am I the sole viewer of this film? So I would ask friends, I would say, hey, have you seen The Room, this film called The Room? And they would just say, no, what is that? I've never heard of that. So I would show it to them, and they would have a similar reaction to me. They'd be like, I don't know what this is, but I kind of like it. Yeah, and from there, it just kind of, this obsession with this film just kind of expanded. I think I've seen the film maybe roughly 50 to 60 times, I would say. Which is, that's not an exaggerated guess. That's not like, oh, I've seen it hundreds of times. I don't think I've seen it hundreds of times. I think somewhere between 50 and 60 is kind of a safe, realistic bet, you know, which probably sounds crazy, but it's because I'm crazy. So, yeah, I've shown this film to a lot of people because I wanted to share this little gem I'd found. So I would remember when I went to university, I would do the same thing. I would ask people, hey, have you seen The Room? And 90% of the time, 95% of the time, people would say, no, I don't know what that is. What is it? And then there would be like 5% of the time where people would say, oh, I think I've heard of it, but I've not really seen it, but I've heard something about it. So pretty much no one I'd ever asked had ever seen this film. So I would sit down and I would show it to them, which is how I've kind of racked up such a huge viewer, the times that I viewed it, you know. So I would show it to a lot of people, and kind of half the time you're sort of watching the film, but then the other half the time you're glancing over to your friend because you know what's coming up. You know that there's something really, really funny coming up, and you're kind of glancing over to think, oh, are they gonna laugh? Are they gonna laugh at this bit, or are they gonna just not ever hang out with me again? And a lot of people that know me know that I can be quite obsessive about things, particularly about kind of strange and unusual, mysterious people. I become very interested by people that have very particular quirks and stuff. I mean, saying Tommy Wiseau has quirks is an understatement, you know? But Tommy Wiseau, the man who made The Room, he is just so mysterious that I needed to know more. But there's like nothing on him. So I would look at all the BTS on the Room, like any behind the scenes footage I could find. I was so interested to see the behind the scenes of what happened there. I needed to know why, how, you know? I'd watch any interviews I could. And I first saw it a few years after it had actually come out, so there wasn't a whole lot on it. But then slowly things would start to come out about it as more people would start to watch it. I started reading about other people's experiences of watching The Room. I would visit forums where people would talk about their experiences of watching The Room. And then eventually, Greg Sestero, the dude who plays Mark in the film and is like Tommy Wiseau's best friend, wrote a book called The Disaster Artist. And the book is all about his experiences of meeting Tommy Wiseau in acting school and how that friendship sort of blossomed. And then each other chapter is his experiences of working on set of The Room. And it is so fascinating. And I was so captivated by it. I would say if you're going to read it, if you've seen The Room and you want to check it out, I would very much recommend it, but I would also very much recommend you listen to the audiobook. It's around 12 hours, but it is so worth it because Greg Sestero does this amazing impression of Tommy Wiseau. So he'll just like be reading it and then he'll be quoting Tommy Wiseau in Tommy's voice. Very creepy, but very cool. So I definitely recommend that. And so time passed and I still felt like I needed more. I needed to know more about this film. And then it was revealed that James Franco was going to be making a film called The Disaster Artist based on Greg's book, which was based on his experiences of The Room. So when I first heard about that, I was pretty jazzed because I needed another little something to kind of scratch that itch of I need something more of The Room. I need another take on this. I need someone else to tell me that, yeah, this happened and it was kind of crazy. So the film finally came out and I've finally seen it and I was so pleased. And I thought it might be fun to just unload some of my thoughts on it. It's not gonna be like a full review, it's just gonna be a kind of brain dump, I guess. So let's start with James Franco, who played Tommy Wiseau. James Franco, Jack and the Giant Beanstalk. Jesus Christ. Is it Giant Beanstalk? It's Jack and the Beanstalk. It's just Jack and the Beanstalk, we got it. There we go. I knew I'd remember it. So James Franco played Tommy Wiseau, and he did such a great impression. No. Calling it an impression would be doing a disservice to the fact that he became Tommy Wiseau for this production. I heard that he would direct the film The Disaster Artist whilst in character as Tommy Wiseau, which is so many levels of meta and weird. His brother Dave played Mark, which when that was first announced, I was kind of a bit 50-50 on that. I was like, well, I mean, he doesn't kind of look anything like Mark, and he's like really kind of short. Is that gonna work? But after seeing the film, I would say yes. I think Dave Franco did a great job at playing Mark. I think literally the only thing that bothered me about the entire film was the fact that he's shorter than Tommy when in real life I think he's a bit taller, but anyway, that's being really petty. They actually had a load of great cast in this film, just filling out the different roles of like the people on set, the people who were the cast, you know. Zac Efron was in it and he played Chris R, and oh my God, he was a monster as Tommy Wiseau described him. The story of Chris R, I don't want to give too much away, but the story of Chris R is that the guy who played that character in The Room, he wasn't an actor, he was just a dude who just came along, and I think he wanted to try out acting, but he was just a dude, and he cranked it up to 11, you know. It was something special, and I think Zac Efron definitely understood that and appreciated that and channeled that very well. To be honest, I think everybody involved in this production, they got it. They just got it. I feel like everybody involved in this film had some kind of love and connection to it, which is cool. What else? It was definitely more of a kind of a loose book adaptation that referenced a lot of things in the book, but didn't necessarily play it all beat for beat, which is nice because you can have another separate experience. You can experience The Disaster Artist, the film, The Disaster Artist, the book, and then of course The Room, the film. You can experience all three, and I think they're all very different experiences. They do a bit where they recreate scenes from The Room, like they match it up perfectly, which is just amazing. And I mean match it up with the set, the costumes, the little mannerisms of the characters, all the dialogue down to all the little weird grunts and weird bitty pieces. So that must have been pretty hilarious to shoot. I would be so interested to see the reaction of somebody who went to see this film who had no idea what it was going to be about, who had never seen the source material. Because they're either going to think one of two things. Either, that was really weird, what the hell was that? I don't get it, why was the main guy so strange? Or they're gonna think, this is a look into a world that I wanna dive into, and my God, what is this film, The Room? I need to see it right now. And I hope it's the latter, because it is definitely an interesting world to look into, even if you're not that keen on the film in the first place. I think it's just fascinating to see this is a thing that happened, you know? Like I said, I really like Dave Franco as Mark. He was very, very endearing. I think it almost felt at times like the main character of this film was Mark, even though Tommy was the guy who made The Room. Mark, it was definitely his story, and that's what did feel like it carried over from The Disaster Artist, the book. It felt like it was from his perspective. And it kind of makes sense as well because Tommy is such a mysterious guy. I think a film from his point of view, well, I mean, a film from Tommy's point of view gives you The Room, literally a film about his life. So yeah, this definitely felt like it was Mark's story. I guess I could say the film itself wasn't 10 out of 10 perfect as a standalone film, but I think if you have the knowledge of the source material and you've gone in knowing that, it definitely scratches that itch of you want something else from this whole experience. But then me and Sophie were talking about it and we thought some of the bits maybe weren't as funny as they could have been because we knew exactly what was coming. So for someone going in blind, in theory, that would be even funnier. And the audience we saw it with, they got it and they enjoyed it, and it was a fun audience to see it with because everybody was just having a great time and everyone was laughing. Everyone was very vocal, which was good. So yeah, for someone who is so obsessed with this thing, it's hard to kind of actually imagine it from someone else's perspective. So definitely a very, very interesting look into this world. I want to see it again. I'm so happy that this got made. I'm so happy it got made the way it did. I think maybe there could have been more that went into the film, maybe some more things from the book that sort of were woven into the film, but I appreciate that they probably had only a certain amount of time and money to make this, so obviously you can't just, I think we know very well in this day and age that you can't just translate an entire series of books or how many books into a film because there are different rules with film storytelling than there are with book storytelling. Very, very, very different rules. So I understand that, you know, they had to tell the story they did in the way they did. But yeah, I can always have more The Room. I can always have more Tommy Wiseau laughing. I have no gauge of how big this film is gonna be or how successful this film's gonna be, but I would say go check it out. It's very fascinating and it might get you hooked on looking into this little cult thing called The Room. That's all I have to say. I also really, really like Greg Sestero. He seems like such a genuine, sweet guy, and reading The Disaster Artist is worth it alone just to hear his story, like his life and his struggles with, you know, becoming an actor and trying to be what he wanted to be. And respect to Tommy Wiseau as well, because to have a film made about you by other people where they kind of paint you to be very eccentric. You know, props to him for sticking it out and just going with it and being cool with it. Because apparently he liked the film. Apparently he approved of the film, that's just perfect. If you got the Wiseau Films approval, then that is just perfect. So yes, let me know in the comments. Have you seen this film? What did you think? Have you not seen this film? Are you gonna see this film? Do you not care about this film? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. I'm gonna leave it there as I've been speaking for a really long time. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!